bang, 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 bang. All right, I can keep going on because I love making music with my mouth. But anyway, I do need an actual intro song, and I will have it every week. This show is going to get better. But anyway, guys, welcome to JT Unfiltered. I am your host, Jonathan Tager, a.k.a. JT. For those of you who don't know me, I am a real estate broker here in New York City and soon to be a real estate broker in Florida as well. So working on that this winter, looking forward to it. We'll get to that in the show, and I'll tell you all that exciting, good stuff. But this show is basically about anything and everything, but focusing on real estate because I am a real estate broker. And I think real estate is actually kind of fun to talk about. I think people want to talk about real estate, even though, look, let's just be real, all right? Real estate, if you want to buy property, which you should because everybody needs shelter. Shelter is one of the most important needs that human beings have, right? I mean, shelter is probably the biggest need that we have, and it also costs a lot of money. So you're paying for land and you're paying for actual shelter. So very, very important. Our homes are super important. So it's always fun talking about buying and selling property, renting property, what makes most sense, the finances behind it, all that good stuff. The crazy stories, the crazy people that you meet through real estate. Let me tell you, I meet very crazy people through real estate. But just so you guys know, this show, the way I view this show is we're going to have guests. This week was a weird week because I was in Florida, like I told you earlier. I spent Sunday through Thursday in Florida. So I just got back yesterday. And yes, I'm looking to get licensed in Florida, expanding my business, not because all the New Yorkers are moving to Florida, but because I do see a huge opportunity in Florida. Tons of people, certainly from the Northeast and certainly from New York City, want to expand their portfolio into Florida, and I think there's a huge potential for New York City agents in Florida, actually, because the reciprocity, we're not the reciprocity, but there's a lot of the same clients who want to buy property in Florida, but at the same time, too, if I'm in Florida, I want that New York City agent. I want that aggressive New York City guy who's personable and who is going to fight for my dollar. So I am expanding into Florida. Stay tuned. It's probably, let's see how long it takes me to get my license. But I think it's going to take like 2-3 months. I asked my good friend ChatGPT on how much, or not how much it costs. I think it costs like $1,000, but I want to know how hard it. I wanted to know how hard it was to get licensed in Florida, and ChatGPT frankly said it's gonna seem easy compared to New York City. So hey, I don't know if that's a reflection on people from Florida or if that's a reflection on people from New York. But either way, I trust Chat wholeheartedly, and I can't wait to do it and become licensed. I had a great time in Florida. I got a good friend of mine moved down there, so we had dinner. I think it was Tuesday night. We had dinner at Billy's Stone Crabs. I don't know if you guys have ever gone down and eaten at Joe's Stone Crabs. That's a pretty famous restaurant in Miami, but Billy's Stone Crab is like the Hollywood version. And I've been staying in Hollywood. I really like Hollywood because it's sort of like, I like to be a little bit off the beaten path. Is it off the beaten path or on the beaten path? I'm not really sure if it's off or on, but I like being a little bit off the beaten path with easy access to the center of the action. So, for example, I've always in New York City. I've lived in New York City 25 years, and I've lived in Brooklyn and Queens, and but I've been 20 to 30 minutes from anywhere in Manhattan or from most cool neighborhoods in Manhattan. And so I just like the ability to sort of chill out and chill out. Brooklyn, you take Brooklyn out of New York City, it's the third largest city in America. So it's certainly still, congested, let's say, at the very least. But at the same time, it's certainly not Manhattan. So I feel like Hollywood is that place in South Florida. And you can drive, I had meetings in Miami. It took me, no more than 30 minutes to get there. And here I was, I'm staying in Hollywood, living on the beach, living the dream, in between calls, I'm jumping in the ocean. It was amazing. So I really can't wait to get down there and to expand my business. Which is great. So I was telling a story about Billy's stone crab, and we were sitting there, and this girl came in, sitting at the bar by herself from Austria, and I'm like, wow, look at this, you got someone from Austria, and she's by herself. She walked in, and I'm like, what brings you to Billy's, and I guess she read about it or something. Anyway, she ordered, she never had a stone crab before. So she got a stone crab, and, it was exciting. Really, I should have made a TikTok video of her eating stone crab for the first time. But she was like, oh, this is amazing, and so forth. And anyway, I was sitting with my buddy Charlie, and, the bartender was very nice. And we were talking, then the girl sort of, like, she left. I thought she had left, but she only went to the other room. So she went to the other room, and we were talking, wow, how old do you think this woman is? And from Austria, very serious. She didn't have a lot of personality, but she was very nice. The Austrians are very serious people. So, I don't know that many Austrians, but, they're a little serious. And so anyway, we were all kind of discussing her age, and the bartender and myself, I was like, look, I think she's like 35. I was like, she's got to be like 35. Bartender was like, oh, I think she's like 30 maybe. And my friend Charlie was like, no, I think she's 55. I'm like, get the fuck out of here, dude. She is not 55 years old. So anyway, she actually came back in the room. So we were like, oh, we gotta find out how old she is. So we stopped her and we asked her, how old she was. And she was like, I can't believe these guys are, you don't ask a woman how old she is. And you certainly don't ask an Austrian woman how old she is. Absolutely not. I can just tell you that right now, because she was taken back that we asked her. But then we were like, look, we're just, the three of us were talking, we wanted to know. Anyway, my friend Charlie was about to give his guess first, and I'm like, dude, do not ask her if she's 55, okay? Because I'm telling you, you're wrong. So I quickly kind of was like, I think you're 35, and then the bartender was like, I think you're 30, and anyway, it turns out she was close to 35. She wouldn't say exactly how old she was, but I just thought it was really funny. Because my buddy was actually going to guess 55, and if you guess 55 to a woman who's 35, you're not making a very good friend. I promise you that. So let's talk about real estate a little bit, just overall. Let's talk about the real estate market. What's happening. Yesterday was a big day, actually, real estate-wise. Big day. Look, it was a day, all right? There was a little bit of news. It was a headline news. It was the equivalent of an election and who won, okay? But the Fed did lower rates yesterday by a quarter basis point, which is great. as long as rates continue, as long as they continue lowering the rate somewhat, we're going to be in better shape. It's certainly not going to hurt. But they lower it by a quarter of a basis point. Now, what does that mean for you? Right now, right today, it doesn't mean anything because I've seen them lower, the Fed lower rates by a quarter basis point, and then, actual mortgage rates have gone up. I mean, that has happened. So essentially, banks or lenders lower their rates, or those rates come down in anticipation of the Fed cuts. So they are anticipating further reductions by the Fed. I think Powell said he was going to lower rates one more time in 2026. So it's looking like the next cut, which I'm assuming is going to be like 3 months from now. Again, don't double check me, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be in 2 or 3 months from now. I'm a big bottom liner. Look, I'm just a real estate broker. Okay, I'm not the smartest guy in the room, but I'm the most personable. Okay, and I'm the most honest. The reason why I hesitated by saying honest was because people think and say that real estate brokers are not honest and they're dishonest. And you know what? It's not true, because this guy is completely honest. And I'd like to say I've built my business based around being honest. But with all of that, okay, take it for what you will. I will say, if you're thinking of selling in the next, in the next 3 years, okay, I would think seriously about selling this spring. I really would, and I'll tell you why. Because I don't think rates, not that I don't think, but I would be shocked if rates went anywhere close to what we saw post-pandemic, when they lowered rates to less than 2.5. I mean, it's ridiculous. So a lot of you are sitting on those 2% loans, and you're stuck in your house because you cannot leave, because you don't want to leave your 2% mortgage. So I get it. But I'm telling you right now, and you might be in a 2-bedroom with 3 kids, the time to sell, it's not going to get any better. The climate is not going to get much better than early 2026. And the season is always spring, summer. That's the ideal. If anyone, any year, said, hey, I want to sell my apartment, look, I'm not going to list an apartment tomorrow, right? We got Christmas 2 weeks from yesterday. So with that said, no one is listing their house or property, whatever, this week. So, and January, February are terrible months. Obviously, if you have to, you have to. But if you can pick when to list your property, spring, summer is always that time. And considering that we're anticipating some more rate drops, or another rate drop in the early part of 2026, I will tell you, plan on listing in March, end of March. And don't, it takes time to get your property perfectly ready or properly ready to list, right? It's not like, hey, call me and then tomorrow we're going to list. You might need to repaint. You might need to get rid of some stuff, some clutter. You might have a small project in the bathroom or something like that. Obviously, you want your property looking as good as humanly possible, and that can take some time. So my best advice to you is start getting ready to do that even now. But it could take time. So be prepared. But if you are thinking of selling, I would highly recommend getting ready for the end of March. Okay, enough said about that. Florida and New York, I will say, are very different places. They are very different places, I will say. But Florida has become almost like a New York City, Florida. I mean, Miami has sort of become like New York City by the ocean, right? It's a little, I mean, it's got that like a little bit like the Hamptons, but it's not as charming, right? I mean, and there's Latinos everywhere. I think my Spanish too. I speak a pretty good Spanish. It's going to help me down there. I love speaking my Spanglish. But Florida and New York, working in both of those areas, are very, they're just very different. For example, in New York City, we have real estate attorneys handle all the closings. So a real estate broker, literally our jobs here in New York City is how do we get you the highest dollar amount for your property, right? So if we're selling your property, how do we get you the most for your property? And once we get you that dollar amount, boom, it goes to the attorney, and the attorneys kind of handle all the legal. And yes, we have walkthroughs or final walkthroughs, and there are some other things, but for the most part, we show up or don't show up at the closings. Florida works completely different. In fact, 43 out of 50 U.S. states work like this, like Florida, where your real estate broker handles everything. They draft your contract. They handle everything. They handle all legal, which I will say is pretty funny because some of these people should not be handling anything. But yes, they handle all your legal. For example, if if they and it happens probably all the time, let's say you're making an offer for $900,000 on $1 million property. They have to draft a contract and send it to the other agent. And if their client accepts it, they basically sign the contract, and now you're in contract, right? Where in New York, I mean, it's like it's so non-binding. I mean, our offers, you can write an LOI or a letter of intent, and I mean, it's you could wipe your tuchus with this piece of paper. It's meaningless, but it shows intent. And that's good, and I'm blabbering. But anyway, there's a lot of big differences between New York and Florida. I welcome them. I'm ready. To be honest, I think I'm more about, putting people together and making that connection, because it's all about who you know in real estate. I will tell you that. Look, I could go on and on. I've got some great. I've got good stuff here, but I did want to do my show, even though it's Friday, and you guys are definitely, I'm hoping you guys are in weekend mode. I sure am. I'm looking forward to a nice weekend, playing some tennis. What else I got this weekend? I think we got a little Hanukkah party on Sunday night, and I pawned my kids off tonight. They're going to the Jingle Ball at the Garden. Can you imagine? I will say, I'm sending a 16-year-old. Well, she's 16. I don't know. When I was 16, I'm sending a 16-year-old and a 13-year-old by themselves to Madison Square Garden on a Friday night. But you know what? I figure there's so many people there that they're safe. Unless someone kidnapped them. But I don't think they could kidnap them because my youngest would scream very loud. She screamed. One time, actually, she didn't. I'm going to end with this story, actually. We were at Whole Foods when she was really young, and I was with my two daughters, and she didn't know where we were for 1 second. Like, she didn't have eyes on us, even though she was in the cart, and I knew exactly where she was. And I saw her, and I was like, oh, wait, let me go back there. And she screamed. Oh, my God, did she scream? It was the loudest scream I've ever heard. To be honest, it touched my heart. I can still hear that scream. So anyway, but I just think it's funny how I'm sending them. Anyway, it's going to be a great weekend. I'm sorry episode 2 is, a little scatterbrained. I'm a little scatterbrained from a long week. But look, that's episode 2 in the books. This week, episode 3, we're going to start doing it every Thursday. That's the goal. I also, Thursday, I'm going to try and have a guest. And I'm not really sure who yet, I'm going to be honest. And I haven't tried using this software to figure it out. But I'm going to figure it out. And I'm going to have a guest on Thursday. And we're going to talk, anything and everything. If you've got anything you want me to talk about, please, reach out to me. Let me know, and I'll gladly consider it. Because this show, look, without you, the listeners, I've got nothing. Anyway, guys, thanks for tuning in to episode 2. Also, shout out to my boy Josh Swade for hooking me up with this new mic, because I think it sounds pretty damn good. Anyway, guys, have a great weekend. And until next week, this is Jonathan Tager and JT Unfiltered, and we are out of here.